Hi, welcome to Subcreation. I'm Nathan. I'm an artist and designer, and this channel is about creative process. Tonight is going to be a pretty chill stream. I'm just going to be continuing work on the white charcoal drawing series I've been doing. I'm continuing and finishing this elephant, and I'm going to just jump right into it. Here, let me just switch here to the camera. Oops, I need to adjust this so we can kind of see it. Oh, this camera is way off. Here, I'll get, oops, looks like my, there we go. So it's probably gonna be kind of a short stream. A little on the short side, I might cut it at least a half hour short because I had kind of a long day at work at workshop pretty much all day long, and I have another one tomorrow. So I'm gonna be pretty tired now. I'm gonna need to get some rest for tomorrow. Also have a little bit of other work I need to do tonight, so that is the plan. So I'm just gonna work on this, and I removed the VR sculpting line from the title tonight because I don't think I'm gonna get to that. I do have it queued up, so maybe we could do 10 or 15 minutes, but my plan is really to mostly just do this white charcoal drawing. Oh, looks like I didn't realize, but the I'm missing the reference here. So let me pull that up. I don't know why it is, but Streamlabs is always losing. It loses the loses the reference and different things. Loses the, what is it? The display capture, I guess is what this is actually called. All right, there it is. So yeah, position this a little bit better. So I've got zoomed in for you. Actually, I may take that out a little bit. I don't want to see all that much of it at once, or that little of it. There we go. So I've got quite a bit of work to do filling back from here back to there. Still quite a bit of work to do on that. Yeah, so my job sometimes we have these workshops, which is pretty much just like an intensive all-day meeting. You're just designing and doing different scheduled activities all day long. It's pretty intensive. I like workshops. They're one of my favorite parts of the job, but it's definitely draining. You feel pretty wiped afterward. And then if you have things you got to do, responsibilities at home, like I have some household stuff I need to take care of tonight. So yeah, this will probably be a short stream. I work on this elephant this is probably the longest project I've done on here yet. It's been coming along pretty well though. I think this is probably the second to last piece in this series. I've done quite a few different animals. I'm thinking maybe a primate next, because I kind of like to do sort of a range of animals. And we've done 2 cats, and this will be the what is it, the 7th? Oh. Boy, it's tough when you're working this level of detail. The smallest impression really has a big impact on the overall effect. My pencil just presses a little too hard at one moment. It really changes the whole piece. Whereas, like, when you're working larger, you can be a little bit inaccurate, have a little extra points here and there, and your eyes kind of just blend it together when you're looking at the whole piece. But when you're working small, like this, all of your errors are amplified. So that's an important thing to be aware of. I used to, when I was a teenager, I wanted to be a comic book artist. And comic books, so I've got some books on comic book creation, and one of the things that I learned from that is how they work at twice the scale. It's either twice the scale or 1.5 times the scale. So you work really large, and then everything gets shrunk down, and that way it looks better in the final image. And I worked as a apprentice for an illustrator before I got into design and computer, like interaction design, essentially what I do now. And as an illustrator, it was the same thing. You always worked larger, and then you'd shrink it down. It was traditional art that I did, and that was before there was a lot of digital illustration. It was when digital illustration was just beginning to really displace all of the traditional commercial. I worked with an airbrush and color pencils, mostly airbrush. So working larger it's easier because you can get you get more detail, fit in more detail more easily, but then it's a bigger project. The more space you're covering, the more time that is too. But those are the trade-offs. The more time put into something better, but also the more space you use, the less exact and precise you have to be. And I think maybe if you were working at maybe like double this size, then the time would begin to increase. Because what would happen if I was working at that scale is I'd put in probably about the same amount of detail and texture as this, but at a larger size. So I'd end up spending as much time as I spent on this piece. You could, multiply that by 2. So this would take over a month probably if I'd done it that size. But I kind of feel like just going up a little bit from this, if I went up like 1.5 times this, which I think was actually the scale that they used in comic book art, I think at 1.5 times we would have more of it'd be more to size where I'd get the benefit of not having to be so precise, so I wouldn't be working so small and so slow. Because there's kind of like a curve as you get smaller and smaller. Like there are these artists who work on doing paintings on like the head of a pin, And you can imagine an artist who's working like that on the head of a pin, they probably spend a lot more time creating the same image on a head of a pin than it would take to do the same painting large, because when it's large you can use your full selected that precision, that like tightening up and working so very, very small. There's kind of like there's a point you reach at a certain size going down small where you're not saving any time by working smaller. So there's probably a good middle point in there. I think this is, for this level of detail, for a lot of the images I was doing, I think this was probably about the right size. But for this image, I'd say 1.5 times this scale would have been, I think, quite a bit easier. I probably would have, rather than adding more detail, because I would have probably added some more detail at that size, but for the most part, I would have had been able to just be a little bit looser and to work a little bit larger on all this. And so I would have been able to sort of just rough some of the stuff in, and then looking at it from further back, you get the same effect. But yeah, that's my theory anyway. I think that's how it works. Okay, so now I've got this part here going up. This really is quite the project. It's one of those things where you kind of plug away at it. You can't think about how much time it's going to take. You just got to kind of plug away, and like the expression to eat your elephants. I say, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. And it's the same way that you draw your elephants. You draw them one crack, one leathery skin lump at a time. It's actually a pretty good principle. I was thinking, I'm trying to have some topics, like write up some topics to discuss on this channel, because my goal isn't just to do art on stream. I want to sort of capture, like use this as a place to sort of share and capture thoughts on creativity and how to get the most out of your art, and that when you invest your time in your art, that you're able to get the best return on your efforts. And one of the topics I was thinking of doing is actually this very one about, oh hey, Catlin, hi. Thanks for dropping in, Catlin. Yeah, so that was one thing I was thinking of, one topic I'm thinking about covering. I'm trying to give you a preview of it now. I haven't written it up. I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes on the stream I have a few minutes at the beginning where I'm addressing the camera, where it's just me full screen without the art up, and I just talk for a few minutes. That's partly because one of the reasons I'm doing this channel is to work on my presentation skills and to work on also my teaching and just sort of getting ideas across. It's like one of the skills of being a designer, and I think I'm pretty decent at it. It's a little easier to do during the day as a part of your job than to do it as sort of a extra thing at night. But my theory is that by improving my skills in the hardest circumstance, which is, when I'm tired out at the end of the day, then my theory is that I'll get better and better at work. And actually, I saw this week for the first time I had like kind of a presentation, not really quite a presentation. It was like a sort of on the moment, like off the spur of the moment. It was like a point where I was in sort of a large workshop that I wasn't leading. It was just a moment where I asked, "Does anyone want to share their work?" And I did want to share my work. I jumped up in front of the group and realized all of a sudden I was in front of a very large group of my peers, and I had that moment of like stage fright, and then I just talked right through it, and I felt like that was one of the times where the work that I've been putting in of streaming and getting used to talking through my work actually paid off. But anyway, back to the topic of eating your elephants one bite at a time. That's essentially what I'm doing with these projects. Doing really time consuming paintings or pencil drawings. So yeah, that's the challenging thing about drawing at the end of the day, is losing your thought. But it's important to concentrate and to be able to sort of carry multiple thoughts at a time when you're presenting at work. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So yeah, on these pencil drawings, I'd say it's important to just chip away at it a little bit at a time over a long period of time. And I did that one time before this when I was at Amazon. I wrote a novella, and the way I got that done is I woke up early each day. I wrote, writing a book. I think a book, like a novella, is about, what I did was I think around 100,000 words. I started 100,000 and then I edited it down, so I ended up with that's why I call it a novella instead of a novel. It's because I had to cut back quite a bit, and I ended up around 80,000 words. But it's pretty daunting if you sit down and tell yourself, okay, I need 80,000 or 100,000 words is why I initially had it right. If you start out thinking about the scope of that, it's going to be too big for you. And if you try to do it all at once, like there are a lot of course, if you're a full-time writer, you're going to want to sit down and write for like a full day. Some writers I used to go to forums where they talk about writing a whole like 5,000 to 10,000 words a day. But if you think about, like, I read a book on writing by Hemingway, and he really didn't like that approach of just slogging away at writing. I mean, slogging in terms of like sitting down and just like working all day writing out. Of course, that might be because he was an alcoholic. But and so he probably needed a lot of his time for his other activities. But the thing that was interesting about what he wrote, he would wake up every morning. I think he said he'd wake up early and he'd always write. Like really early in the day, he'd write. I think it was like a 500 to 1,000 words. I think his was 1,000 words a day. And so I decided, since I didn't have even as much time as he did, I think he was doing 2 hours a day and 1,000 words. So I decided to do 1 hour and 500 words a day. Sometimes I did more, sometimes I did less, but usually I kind of targeted 500 words, and I would track my word count as I went. And I thought that actually worked really well. 500 words a day was pretty reasonable. And there were times when I did put longer sessions in. And sometimes I got, 2,000 words maybe. But I felt like I got more ground covered. Because, you don't really just sit down and, I mean, sometimes you do come up with a lot of ideas as you're writing, but sometimes you kind of need that time in between to kind of think about it, mull it over. Like this project, that was a little different. Like, you wouldn't really think about this elephant all day. There's not really much that your brain can do with this. It's pretty much a production effort. But other things, especially if you're doing complex design work or like a storyboard or an animation, those things are going to require that you kind of crank away at it a little bit mentally all the time. I can see if you were doing more of like a art series, like a series of paintings for the like an art show or something, then you're going to need a little bit more time. Like thinking of a series, like in this case, I just kind of did it straight ahead. I didn't really think too hard about it. I wanted to do animals. I knew the style I wanted to do it, so I looked for images that matched it. I just sat down and started doing this. But if you're doing, paintings, if you're going to spend, months doing larger paintings, and you want to have sort of an original concept that really differentiates your work from other artists, that you're doing something original and groundbreaking, that's something you'd kind of have to develop that over time. You need some time to sort of think about, imagine the subject, and to come up with the style. You probably want to do some curation of different influences and references, and take some time to kind of internalize it. And similar to editing a book, you're going to want to make sure that you create more art than what you include in the final collection. That you'd probably even do some studies. So that means, that's a lot of work that you kind of want to chip away at a little bit at a time. You're not going to just sit down and do that all at once. You're not going to want to dive into it like I did with this piece without sort of really sizing up the scope of it and knowing what you're committing to and all that. So now I'm kind of just going over these and bringing out some of the details. Just like a little bit of highlights in here, a little bit more. All right, now this probably needs a little bit more of a gap from the last one. You guys hear the music okay? It's kind of quiet on my side. Let me turn the volume up so I can hear it more. Where did my... I am missing my remote control. Hold on one moment. Just falling down over here. Huh. Just had it like 2 minutes ago. Oh, I couldn't find the remote, so I had to turn it up manually. I don't know what happened there. Oh, there it is. It's blending into my furniture. It's camouflage. Bring this up a little bit. Hey, Critter Art. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, it's coming along. It's been quite a work in progress for quite a while. Yeah, it looks like it does never forget. It's good old elephant. So how have you been? Were you streaming tonight, or are you streaming later tonight? I didn't see you on when I was looking before. I'm doing pretty well. I was saying I had kind of a long day at work because we're doing these workshops. All the designers from the East Coast came out, and we're pretty much in workshops all day long, which keeps me super busy. Headaches yesterday and today, so not streaming. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's too bad. So bad that you can't work, huh? That's really awful. I was afflicted with some really bad headaches a few weeks back when I turned out it was actually a toothache. And I didn't want to believe it was a toothache, which made it worse. I hope you feel better. Oh yeah, that's right. I told you guys about that at the time, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm feeling much better now though. Hope you feel better soon. I'm okay now, not up to streaming, but watching you is pretty chill. Cool. I'm hoping to have kind of a chill, like laid back stream tonight. I took the VR sculpting out of the title because I don't think I'm going to be up for doing all that much. But we did do kind of a cool giraffe last time. I might pull that up just to show it. If I don't get too far into it or get back into it. Yeah, it's funny. I'm sketching an elephant, and I was talking about the concept of how you eat an elephant, a bite at a time. That's sort of the lesson I'm getting from working on this project. To just chip away at it a little bit at a time, and not to worry about getting it done necessarily. And I was talking a bit before that about how I wrote a. Oops, sorry, I didn't hear that thing about the giraffe. Oh, yeah. So, well, I don't know if you've. I think I've been. Yeah, I've probably been doing this since you've dropped in. I do a thing each. It's a little loud. Is the music too loud? Is that what you're saying, or I can try. I have it reduced by 20 decibels, but I did turn up. Might be getting picked up. Oh, your house is loud. Okay. You know, I've been meaning to turn on the closed captioning for hearing impaired. I actually prefer to have the captioning, and sometimes I like to tune into streams on. I should probably bring this a little bit closer. Sometimes I like to tune into the streams on, like, if I'm at work and I'm just taking a quick break. That's not a situation where, like, if I'm in the coffee room or you know, sit next to people who are working in an open space, I don't necessarily want to have the audio going. So I prefer to have closed captioning in that case. So I'd like to provide that for people, but I haven't figured out how to set it up. But no, so what I was saying is, so I started sculpting a giraffe in VR on Sunday. I don't know if you've probably seen me do. I do the Rubik's Cube solve partway through the stream, and then what I've started doing is whoever can guess my time gets to choose the reference for the next image, and that's been a lot of fun. It's one of the things I'm trying to make the channel a little bit more, interactive, and so that was the result of that. Catlin won the competition, and yeah, and see, I'm having where my window isn't staying at the bottom. Yeah, so that's a lot of fun. That's what we've been doing, and I may pull that up just so I can show you the work. I should probably show it to you before you go, because I know you're not always able to stay up as late as the what do you call it, the raid at the end. So maybe I'll pull that up sooner rather than later. I don't know, have you seen the other pieces that I finished just before this? Could pull those up for you. Let me. So I'm gonna I'll go ahead and pull those out. All right, so you probably saw this one is from a long time ago. It is actually the one that Kitslam also did. He picked that reference, and we did like a co-stream on it. This is a bat that I did ages ago. I don't know if you might have seen that one. That's from this guy. You probably saw this one Yeah, these were posted to Instagram, so you've almost definitely seen. Actually, I think you've seen all my Instagram posts, so I think you're actually probably current on these, but I'll flip through them anyway. This panther was actually the first. Yeah, it's actually called a pine marten, and it was another one of the references. I picked that image, but I didn't pick the subject. It was part of the fauna focus group. And this panther was actually the first drawing I did in white charcoal. I think you were dropping in, we were doing this beta. This was a pretty long project. Yeah, I can never remember what it's called. I like saying weasel, yeah. Yep. And then this elephant. Let's see, it's not quite fitting into the picture, but and the light kind of doesn't. The light doesn't work with the camera so well, but I need it to be able to see the paper. So, but this is the one. I don't know. This is one I don't know if you saw, but you would have seen it. The beta fish is so great. Thanks. Yeah, the owl. That elephant looks like a horse. Yeah, you saw the owl on Instagram, yeah. Okay, so then you're totally current on this series. That's all of the images. Thanks. Yeah, so I'm just cranking away at it. Those wrinkles are bonkers. Yeah. Yeah, I've been talking about that. So that's the two things I've been talking about in the stream is one, this is the first piece that I've put this much time into for a long time. So thanks. Yeah, the texture, it's actually a lot larger on here. Let me turn the volume down a little bit. It's a little too loud now. Maybe down a little bit more. So the texture is a little bit, I don't know if you can quite tell. Let me pull over. I actually need to, well, you can, I think you can see it more on the nose. If I scoot it over a little bit. The texture, I've sort of enlarged it. If you look at the differences between what's going on here, what's going on over there, in the reference, it's much finer. I mean, I know it's larger in the image here, but even apart from that, if I zoom it out so you can really see it, it's much finer. There's a lot more wrinkles, a lot more detail over there. So, and so I've been kind of questioning as I've been going if that, if that's the, I think I may actually zoom this back in. It'd be interesting to know what you guys think, if being zoomed in to kind of see what the detail I'm focusing on is better. Having it so it's like almost like a window into the section I'm working on. Or if it's better to actually just see the whole image comparison. Tikiwa, welcome. Oh, hey, I just remembered you guys, forgot to do a shout out for, so you like the Zoom, that's good to hear. So I'm going to do a shout out for Critter Art. So Nightbot is new around here, and got him doing some work. So if anyone is here that isn't following Critter Art, he does really imaginative creatures. They're often, he's also been doing like a series of pinups, just really clever and fun concepts. Sometimes he incorporates things that we talk about in the channel. And it's just a really chill, fun stream. Let's see, I'm behind on the conversation, sorry. Have we done the cube? I have not done the cube today, and we could do it, but the thing is I can't start another drawing project. Your guess is 34 seconds. Well, it'll probably improve my time, because last time you were the only guest, I got my best time. But yeah, sorry, I'm switching between subjects here. But yeah, Critter Art, he does gouache and a lot of sort of like alien type creatures, just very otherworldly, fun, very characteristic creatures. So if you're not following him, you should definitely go follow him now. And then also Tikiwa here has been doing, so I'll give a shout out to Tikiwa. And he's been doing a series of, lately it's been a series of oil pastels. They're portraits of people that he's sort of adding forest creature features onto, and it's a real imaginative and interactive project as well, so definitely check that out. I'm just here to make guesses, extremely low guesses. Yeah, really trying the lower delta of shame there. So there's no way I'll ever hit those numbers. But yeah, so we started a giraffe last time. I think Tikiwa was here for that, if I recall. Oh, wait, no, maybe Tikiwa wasn't there for that. I think it was just see, correct. Tikiwa has such a distinct style. Yeah, he does, and he did I had him do a commission of my son. His watercolor paintings are really just amazing. I should probably try to make a little bit more progress here. But yeah, so the thing is, I'm a little behind on, I feel like the giraffe I started last time needs a little bit more attention. I'm probably not gonna be able to work on it tonight. Maybe tomorrow night. I don't know. I'll probably be pretty tired tomorrow night too. And who knows? I usually get into these things and then I just keep going. You know, I tell myself I'm only gonna do 2 hours and I do. Well, I'm trying to be more on a schedule lately though. I'm told the package should arrive by Monday. Oh, wow, that's great. Looking forward to it. Boy, that part right there is too bright. I'm gonna have to soften that up. I'm gonna need to zoom up so I can see where I'm working. I think that is the most suspect way I can word it. The package. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like a MacGuffin, right? You got the package. Yeah, so I was saying the thing that this elephant reminds me of is how, like, some of the bigger projects I've tackled, like I actually wrote a novella when I was working in the Kindle group at Amazon. I was doing designs for authors, products that were being used by authors, and I always wanted to be an author. So I took that opportunity to sort of get into their world and to learn as much as I could about the life of an author and the needs of an author. So I wrote a book and published it on Kindle, a novella, self-published. And so that's like a pretty big undertaking, you know. I think I actually wrote over 100,000 words. I ended up cutting it down. See, I think I cut it by almost a third, so it must have been 120,000. I said 100,000 under, but I think it was like 120,000, and then I cut huge chunks out. I just read through it and decided anything that was boring, it was too boring and wasn't necessary to the advancing the story, I cut. And so it was, I think, 80 or 90,000 at the end. And the way I did it was I woke up each morning at about 4 in the morning and I wrote for an hour before I had to get ready for work. 500 words a day, which was kind of based on what I'd learned from reading Hemingway on writing. which isn't actually a book by Hemingway, but it was a compilation of Hemingway's writings about writing. So you do get his perspective on writing, but they're mostly like letters and that sort of thing. Letters to other authors. Let's see, this is kind of a weird thing in here. This is a lot brighter than it looks here. Is this really where it looks like I am, or am I further? I think I've run out of space because it's larger, and so I have to kind of skip some details. Very cool, interesting. Thanks about the novel. Okay, I gotta lurk. All right. If you're gonna be heading, I can show you. I can pull up the while you're lurking. You don't have to keep commenting or anything, but I can pull up the. I wanted to get a chance to show you this elephant, or not elephant, this giraffe before you go. So this is the giraffe that we were sculpting, and you can kind of see it from the side. I'm using mirror, so I'm able to make sure it's perfectly symmetrical. So this is one of the nicer pieces. I'm like pretty happy with it. I think it's one of the better things I've done in medium sculpts recently, anyway. So that's that project, and I've just done the basic sculpting. But I wonder why my be in and out, please. That's bomb. How cool. Whoa, my wife. Oh, nice. Tell her hi for me. Well, she can hear me. Hi, Critter Art's wife. Love it, dude. Super crazy. Thanks. But I'm gonna restart this chat app because it doesn't seem to be. My chat app is not scrolling when new comments come in, so I'm gonna just restart that. And here I'm gonna switch back to the elephant. Okay, so hopefully that'll fix it. Oh, I need to resize everything though. All right, hopefully that'll work. I'm gonna need to check the other window. Okay, super crazy. Catlin says 2 minutes for cube. Oh, is it that time already? No, it's still too early. But I've got your guess. The only thing is that I don't think I'm going to be able to start another project tonight, Catlin. So this may be just for a future one. Okay, Critter Art says 3 minutes. Oh, well, we've got a competition now, so maybe we're gonna have to do it. So usually we've been there's been one guess recently. A lot of single guesses going on. Okay. Let's realize this is going up too high, and I'm missing this hole. Okay, I may need to pull some of this out. Shoot. Yeah, that went way too high. Let's see, this goes... Yeah, in the... Did you cube and I missed it? No. Wait, was it 23 seconds? No, I haven't cubed. I am planning on cubing here in a few minutes, though. Make it 15 seconds in. Yeah, that is way low. Okay, I'm not sure what happened here, because this is just going way too high. Basically this, if I was working digitally, I would select all of this and I would scale it down. But I'm not working digitally, and that's going way too high, so I'm just gonna have to pull a bunch of this out. And that's okay. Okay, so this, I guess what I should do then, instead of working just straight up like this, since I'm having a little bit of scaling, a little difficulty scaling, I should, let's see, this goes here. Since I'm having a little bit of a challenge scaling things, I should probably sort of box in the shape and work kind of into it. That's what I'm thinking. I think I want to not make this go too far up there. Yeah, that principle about elephant eating it like reminds me of like when I was like the summer between middle school and high school. I kind of got into going for long walks. Sometimes I go for bike rides too. I could go just all over the city where I lived. And I remember realizing that principle that I could pretty much get just about anywhere. I walked all the way to the mall once, which was I think about 10 miles from my house. And the basic principle I realized was as long as you're always putting one foot in front of the other, you're going to get somewhere. It's not like you have to be, you know, it's just the basic principle is if you move forward, you get where you're going. It's not really about, it's not very complicated. There's not a lot of, as long as you are heading in the right direction and making progress. That's the way it is with any project, I think. I tend to think of it that way. As long as I'm working on this thing, as long as I'm plugging away at it, then an elephant will appear. I mean, there is some judgment and some decisions to be made, some corrections to be made, but it's mostly just a matter of putting one foot in front of the other. Hey, welcome, Tum the Phantom. Unless you're me and fall off the sidewalk. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Well, that's essentially the principle there, right? If you're not putting one foot in front of the other, if you're laying on the side of the road, then you're definitely not going to get there. I've always found that to be pretty reassuring, even when I've been doing like really complicated like projects for work where there's a lot of constraints and design problems that need to be solved, and or code where you might get over your head with writing something too complicated. Still, as long as you know to make trade-offs when you get over your head, sometimes you just have to say, okay, well, we're going to cut this feature, we're going to cut that idea, or we won't be able to have this part be automated or whatever it is, to make those trade-offs. Then see, there's kind of a speckling texture over here. then you'll get through it as long as you're just making headway. Always making headway. I'm a little bit off of the view. Let me. There we go. So there's some of this stuff going on in here. It's good to have you here, Tom the Phantom. What have you been up to? You busy these days? Yeah, so I suppose that's a pretty simple topic, but I think that's gotten me through more of my career and more of the sort of challenging situations. Just the idea of just plugging away persistently, not trying. I mean, part of the idea there of like the whole eating an elephant a bite at a time is that you're taking kind of small bites, that you kind of pace yourself, you kind of accept your limitations, that you can't just. I think when I was younger and starting out, I had a tendency to kind of I was more likely to just work through a night and power through a project, or work through a weekend, sacrifice my free time to try to push above and beyond our project and get more done. And I think that's one thing I've learned really not to do. Like, for one thing, it sort of cheapens your time. It gives people the impression that that they can expect miracles like that from you, and that it's not, your time isn't valuable. So I don't do that so much anymore. But also because sometimes it's just better to use your time. I'd say that's really the best part of it, is using your time efficiently is one of the things that arises from quietly plugging away. Like when I was working on my book, I would wake up at 4 a.m. and I would think, you get up, you're super groggy, you wake up at 4 a.m. and I like stumble out of bed, and I go get coffee, and I'd go and sit down at where I was writing. I was actually writing on my phone, believe it or not. It's kind of wild. But I'd sit down, I had a keyboard hooked up to it, and there was no way I was going to log into my email or check Facebook or do anything besides writing, because I had woken up at 4 a.m. and that was a sacrifice. And because I knew I had just that 1 hour, I got one bite that day. So I had 1 hour to work on it, and there was no way I was going to give that up after I put that in. After I put in, after making that sacrifice, and after and knowing that I had such a tight deadline, especially, it was like, okay, whatever gets done today is all the progress I can make on this today. And the other thing is that part of the things, like with writing, which is a little bit different from a project like this, is the story is sort of developing a bit at a time as you're writing it. And so often there was that aspect to it, is it's entertaining. I was oftentimes looking forward to finding out what happened next to my story. So it kind of helps with that. There's not as much of that advantage when working on an image, because you kind of have it's all fixed in everything's kind of fixed. The decisions are kind of made ahead of time. Let's see. This is gonna need to. it's interesting how some art forms have that quality and then others don't. I guess it's maybe the aspect of time that does that. It's like another one I can think of, it's like that, where I'm really, like, I look forward to it and kind of am eager to see what's going to happen, is with music, with composing music. It's a bit of a mystery. Because I suppose it depends a bit on the instrument and the kind of piece, but typically I'll have kind of an idea for a song, for music. Maybe I have a bit of a melody or a theme in my head, but when I go to work on it, it comes out is always changed by hearing it. And I always end up making a lot of accommodations, and the piece kind of emerges in the creation of it. It's like an improv thing. Like, composition is a bit like improv for me. Sometimes I hear something like fully formed in my head, but I don't really have a great means for composing right now where I'm able to capture that totally. So for now, it's always kind of an exploration. All right. There's another thing over here. Yeah. So that's that topic that I'm probably going to write that and make it more succinct. Right now I'm kind of rambling. That was one of my hopes, though, for doing this streaming, is like having a venue to sort of chat with creative people about creative process, and how to get more out of your art in your art time. And so I was thinking, if I can have a place where I have that conversation, it's recorded, then later on I could kind of go back and refine the messages, like simplify them, simplify the point a bit, turn them maybe into an article, or maybe have it more as like an intro on the channel where I talk for a few minutes about this. But I kind of want to like build up a store of subjects about creativity, and to have them kind of be informed by chatting with you guys. Okay, so now I'm here, and this is going on over here. There we go. Oh wow, took off a lot more than I thought right there. Alright, it's 9 o'clock, so I could stop and do the Rubik's Cube thing right now. And then whoever wins can decide. I could either switch over to working on the giraffe further. Maybe we could do another quick, like a very fast sculpt, because I'm starting to get backed up between the giraffe that isn't finished and everything. So we can maybe pick a quick sculpt, or it'll be your call. So what are the times that we had here? I actually, probably better if I don't see. I'm not trying to target anybody's time. I'm just gonna solve it. So let's see. So the times we had, there were times from Catlin and Critter Art and TQA. TQA, are you sticking with 15 seconds or 23? I think TQA pretty much gets anything under a minute for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this down. Pull down the timer app. This is kind of, I can always see my last time. I don't really use my timer app for anything else, so there's the last time we had. And that is the best time I've had on the stream, I believe. And I have to pull this up a little bit so that we can actually see. And my worst time that I've ever had on the stream is 4 minutes. And I think my average is coming down a little bit from it was 3, and I think I'm getting closer to 2.5, maybe 2 minutes and 45 seconds. All right, so now I'm going to take a reset. I'm going to take just a few seconds to look around and identify the places, the spot, or basically I'm looking for all the yellow cross. All right, and go. All right, I'm missing one. Okay, that's there. Let's see. Too much turning going on for sure. Sorry, I think Tikuwa's out of the running already. Let's see. There we go. Let's see. There we go. And we're done. So minute 34, which I think, let's see, let's check the conversation and see who was closest to a minute 34. I'll put this back up. All right, let's look at the conversation. All right, so TQ1 did not win, as I suspected. Critter Art had 3 minutes, and that means that Catlin with 2 minutes. Oops, what's happening? I was trying to open it in Spotify. That wasn't what I meant to do. So 2 minutes. I think Catlin was the closest with 2 minutes. So Catlin, do you think would you like to see me continue plugging away at the elephant? Take another bite of that elephant? Or do we want to, okay, switch to the giraffe. I'm down for that. We can continue working on the giraffe. I can't believe how much, how long how far this project with the elephants is stretched on. I just marvel at it every time. Okay, so here we go. Now we're gonna need the layers back on. Oh, you know what I actually really need is I need to turn on, you guys can't see this, but I have a a window here that lets me see your comments. And I need to get this out of my way. I need to pin it. There we go. All right, so here we are. I need to pull up. That's oops. I'm having trouble selecting this thing. There we go. All right. Just want to get someplace where I can reach it a little bit better because my art's getting in the way. And I need to have this. No, it doesn't get closer like that. We want to see the giraffe. Oops, giraffe art. Oh, now I really can't have that there. I'll move it over here then. There we go. No reason not to have it closer up, I'd say. Well, maybe right there. Okay, so turn all those guys on. Oh, I forgot I had that there. Oops. Shoot. Let me just deselect these guys. There we go. I'm just going to move these guys down a little bit. Where's the other one? Oh, there it is. That guy is over there. Oh, let me bring it over down here. It's kind of good to have everything sort of located in the same area so I don't have to turn my head too much. Yeah. Alright, so it's time to paint this guy. Got the move tool on. Should make sure that this is saved. I need to just for a little extra just so I have something to go back to if something goes wrong here. Oops. I'm going to hide that guy and work. No. Okay, this is not working. Scale down. There we go. Huh. What is that? I'm having a little trouble distinguishing my layers at the moment. I'm not sure what that's about. I don't know what that is. That must be an empty sculpt layer, so I'm going to delete that. I'm going to turn this one back on. That sculpt and this sculpt. I'm just going to take that one, move it over here, and hide it, just so I have that to go back to if anything goes wrong here. I'm going to work on this guy. I don't. Let's see. Say the first thing is I need to clear out. I do need to sculpt a bit, so I need to clear out these eyes. Kind of like when I work in person, or traditionally, like on in the paintings, I've been doing the eyes first. I'm gonna kind of do the eyes first here too, and work out from them. Oh no. Just realized that was a mistake because I'm supposed to have mirroring on. Alright. Once you don't want it, it's a big mistake to move away from mirroring too soon. Oh, I wonder if I've moved this away from, oh, there is the mirror. No, that's not. That's not the mirror, that's the turntable. Is it the world? No, scene origin. So I'm getting a little disoriented here. These controls, they've changed these in each version. And there it is. Okay, I need to remember this time. Mirroring, lathe, angle, and grid snap are all under the palettes, or the tools. When I bring up the tools palette. Okay, let's make sure that this is still lined up. Sometimes I accidentally move off of my let's make sure that that's exactly, yeah. You don't want there to be any, if you get it off the center from the mirroring, things get bad. Alright, so this is probably a good point to bring up the resolution. Bring it up one more time. The resolution is where? Oh, there. So if I have the layer selected, then I get it. It's under actions. Increase resolution one more time. That looks pretty good. I think that's pretty. See, how do I get it so it does that where it shows me the oh, I see, if I touch the increased resolution, it'll show me those cubes that sort of show you what the resolution is. And that's pretty good. Things slow down quite a bit when you get into higher resolution. Okay, so then the next thing is going to be adding eyes. So I'm going to create a new layer, new sculpt layer, and this will be round. That's going to be an eyeball. Really want it to be, I see the, actually I should change the color. It's about time to start painting, so I need to start using proper colors. Hard to tell there, but we'll have a better sense of it if I take the specular needs to come way up. No, we're gonna need a lot more resolution before you'll be able to see that, I think. Does the resolution actually make much difference? Okay, so we got that is not the right material. Okay, so specular, diffuse color. Oh, roughness just needs to come way down. Yeah, that looks kind of like a giraffe eye. Let's see, let's bring it down a little bit more. Maybe bring specularity up. Maybe that's too much. But I think that does seem about right. Okay, so now I'm going to start just painting this guy. Almost looks like he's wearing mascara. The way that his eyelid appears there. So let's go here. Look at this black. Oops, I'm on the wrong layer, of course. Now, how are we doing? Let's see. Is this the song that's playing right now? I'm just curious if, oh it is, okay. Just curious if I was missing any comments or anything. Let's see. I don't know if this is the, is this enough resolution? I can't remember if the resolution scales with the clay or not. Let's see, it's definitely black here. You know what I need is I just need a lot more opacity. Yeah, I feel like one of the neat things about this tool really is the painting of the model. I kind of think it would be nice to be able to use bitmaps in it. If I could take like a bitmap and apply it to it, or sort of use a bitmap like as a brush, I think that would be pretty amazing. Alright, so I'm going to bring the hardness down and bring the opacity way down because I want just a little bit of that going on. Alright, now what I really need is more of this brown. Let's say first of all that it's needed. I wonder why it's pink there. I don't understand how that got to be pink. Well. Kind of treating this a little bit like, I guess, the way you'd use Copics, where I'm just kind of using a lighter shade, and I know I'll be building up this more later. I don't know if that's necessarily the way to do it, but it's looking a little symmetrical, so I may need to come back and dial that down a bit once I get further on. But I'd say it makes more sense to cover as much ground as possible at first using the mirroring, and then go back and make it a little more asymmetrical. Okay. Kind of to the point I was saying earlier about how if you if you're running out of time on a project, sometimes you need to start to make some trade-offs. Maybe I might need to go ahead and make some of those trade-offs here, accepting that maybe it won't be as realistic as I'm going for. Though Catlin did choose realism as the style for this, so that's kind of what I'm trying to honor. The mouth down here, this is really maybe start using some other colors here though pretty soon. One thing that's interesting about working digitally like this is that you can always get closer. Of course, this resolution is kind of setting a limit on it too. Oops. Wonder. Okay, I'm gonna need to bring the opacity up a bit. There we go. Maybe bring the resolution back a tad. No, it's more than a tad. This is so much different than working with the traditional stuff because I can change the size of my brush, and I can, not to mention undo. And change the opacity, so far more control digitally. I'm pretty in awe of the capabilities we have today. You know, like I was talking earlier about all the techniques I would do as a traditional artist. I was working in airbrush, and so just even getting your image onto the piece of paper that you're, or the board actually you work on, illustration board. Just doing that, even, you know, was a bit of a project where doing the transfers was like we were seeing. Critter was showing us how he does transfers, and working digitally is very different from that. Let's see. As you get, you know, you can copy and paste or trace right over the reference. You pretty much do anything. Like the only reason not to, if you're going for realism, the only reason not to really trace directly off of your reference is either because you want to add a bit more expression to it. Let's see. As we can see, then you get further back and you can really see that there's more to that. In this case, using the mirroring here really helps. But yeah, like just the ability to like mirror. I think it's actually a pretty amazing time to be an artist, to have access to tools that make things. Sometimes it can be troubling though, because you know, whenever you realize something that you've worked so hard to build up the skill to do, and you realize that the computer, somebody made something, a skill that you've developed so much easier, then you feel like, oh, did I need to do that? And then you kind of end up maybe sort of trying to justify, you know, doing it your way, because not just because of the investment, but because you want to feel like the value that you've built up is still there. And that can be, I think you probably don't want to make decisions based on that necessarily. So you can see it looks a little bit like that's a little bit too oops. Like in design, I've noticed that tendency when you work on a team especially, you'll be working on design for a long time. There we go. And people start to get so attached to the work because they've spent so many hours on it. They start to think that the work must be valuable because of how much they've invested their time in it, which is a real trap in software. It's called, there's a term for it. It's a fallacy. It's a logical fallacy where you, what is it called? I can't remember the name of the fallacy now, but essentially it's the idea that sunk costs aren't sunk. Like if you waste money on something, it doesn't make the thing you spent the money on more valuable. And if you're tending to value it more because of your investment, I forget there's actually a term in behavioral economics for it too, I think. It's really common that people value things based on I'm forgetting a term for it. I'm losing my train of thought. It sounds like a form of discounting, but I can't remember the right logical fallacy for it. But anyway, that's something I think kind of can happen in art, is that you invest so much time learning a particular technique, and then when the computer, an innovation makes it, changes the value of that, you know, which is what happened when I was learning illustration. You know, all the things I know about using an actual airbrush are not worth what they were when I acquired those skills. And you can always say, you know, like people who are into vinyl records, that, oh, well, there's just something different about the analog. That's true. There's definitely a different quality to it. But the question is if it achieves your goal any different. There's definitely no, like, I suppose I could, the alternative for this would be building this in clay and then painting it, but I don't think I'd be able to do anything quite like this. And there's always the chance of the way the clay breaks. And let's see if I can get this. That is weird what's going up there with that coloring. That did not work out. Maybe I should just undo it. Okay, that's good. Maybe I just want like a brown. Okay, there's, I think this is what I was indicating over here. Must be one of his markings there. It has a little bit of a hair effect, I think. There's a little bit of one of these here. That is definitely too symmetrical, but that's okay. It's getting there. So then this comes up. It's kind of a, see that one. This is obviously the same draft, so the patterns are going to be a little bit different. Sorry if I'm making a lot of noise when I hit this speaker. I should probably move forward a little bit so my hands aren't there as much. I wish there was a way I could sort of mark this in the space. I guess I could physically position a mic right there. That would do something at least. Alright, it's 9:35. I was thinking of cutting a little early tonight, but I'm making pretty good progress here. I'd say I had some other work I should probably do, but I may. I don't know, I could probably do that a little bit later too. If you're looking at an angle, it doesn't matter so much that the mirroring is a little too much on the. But I may regret my choice to draw all this in with mirroring on. Maybe I should have done some of the outer details, and then as I got in toward the center, switched over. But you know, if that's what I learned, then that's what I learned. Here's all this like speckling. Seems like it might be a little bit browner in here though. Works pretty well for getting a texture like that. I'm surprised sometimes at how well you can get a texture. Like getting this kind of texture with a pencil would be really hard. It would have taken a lot of time, but because I just kind of shake it around, because essentially there's resolution, there's like a little bit of lag. It's giving you one spot per. It's giving you one spot every so many milliseconds. And so when you just kind of shake it around, you get a lot of dots. It's really nice. It's one of my favorite things about this app. Once you figure out this technique, at first you're like, oh, the resolution's kind of tricky to work with. When you figure it out, it's just like, wow, this thing. Because it works that way with clay, with the placement of the clay, and it works that way with the painting too. Just an amazing tool. Okay, so I've got a couple of spots over here. I need some more of this. There's a bit of that kind of orangish color in some of these places. I should probably add a bit of that. I like this almost like reddish in here. Looks like this very burnt color down here. A little bit down on that. I think this actually needs to have a little bit more of this sort of texture to it. This is really fun. I kind of figured once I started doing this I wouldn't want to stop when the time came. Well, there's a little bit of this lighter color up here. See, when you scale it down, just like I was saying earlier, when you really scale it down, the detail really stands out. Probably need to develop a habit of turning things around a bit more, because coming from a 2D, I mean, I've done a fair amount of 3D. I haven't really done a lot of painting in 3D. So I have a tendency to kind of work at it from one angle. In fact, some of the pieces, if you saw the cave, some of the pieces I've done are almost exclusively done like intentionally from one angle. So if you look at it from the other angle, it looks weird. But if you look at it from the angle I'm designing it from, part of that is by design. It's like I'm working on a stage, right? Like you can't hope to. Huh, yeah, it's working pretty well, I'd say. I could use a little more texture in there, but I like it. Okay, I need more. I wonder if this may need to move in a little bit. Take the move tool. Yeah, I think that feels a little bit more natural. So it really is kind of white all the way. I don't know if I want him to quite get that white. I guess that one goes pretty bright. don't know, he looks like his eyes are black all the way around, so that's where I'm struggling a bit. I don't know, that does look like it's a little lighter on the eyelid, so. Yeah, it's pretty much going to white up here. It seems to be coming to life. Those ears are kind of a pasty white too. Can't see it. Oh yeah, from the back I think they're a little more. You can almost actually even see a little bit of texture. Like a hair texture right here, so. There's a little bit of this going on right in here. I feel like some of those markings in there will definitely need to be adjusted, but it's a little just too symmetrical right through there. But if you look at it from an angle, it's not bad. Let's see, as we get up to here, it's going to need to. It's really good. You know, I think realizing that this needs I think more roughness. Is that right? Yeah, more roughness and less. Maybe that's just it, just more roughness. I always forget what occlusion is. So diffuse, that's the paint I'm putting on it. If I wanted it to appear, okay, so that's, yeah. I'm gonna need to work on, how am I on time though? I can start on these, start on these. Here I can bring the opacity down and kind of pencil them in maybe. And then maybe do it from the side to match that guy. Might just make it a little bit easier. Well, it's maybe a little too low. Maybe bring the hardness up. Okay. It looks like my pencil was just a little too, my point was too small. That's an interesting learning, that sometimes if you make your pencil too small, it doesn't show up. Pencil too far back. Yeah. Alright, let's see. It's hard to tell because that's going to the shade of his jaw. Wait a minute, not really doing that. Maybe I'm misreading where that line is. That one is there, that one's there. Yeah, I think I'm there, but I may have actually, there's kind of a rectangle there. And then it has another one of these going up here. And then that's actually where this guy kind of fades up. Okay, yes, this should have been this one. And this one here kind of goes up like that. Is that the, oh, I see, that's the smooth tool. For a second I expected it to turn into an eraser. Okay, so now I'd say I can go in and start filling those in. Wait, no, I don't want to do that many passes. It's also not quite the right shade. That one is. Okay, so to save time, this needs to come up to like 100%. Yeah, I think that's right. And then if I need to fade them afterwards, I'll just go, I'll paint them. I'll use, I'll airbrush them down. I'm not sure why, but sometimes it seems like it's just easier to hold my hand steady and rotate this thing underneath it, you know? With my other hand, I'm sort of turning the model underneath it. And that seems to work a little bit better. Okay, so this actually should. Go ahead and knock that down a bit to get a little bit more of a fade to start. I haven't seen the chat in a bit, so I'll make sure that I'm not missing. Oops. Yeah, it's just all comments from Pretzel Rocks. Yep, the last comment from a viewer was giraffe, which is what I'm doing, so I think we're good. Okay. Is this guy back here then? Okay, so there's a little bit of a fade. Take the hardness back. Bit of a fade up here. I wonder if it's. They seem like they fade off to pink a little bit more there, but I don't think that's quite the. Do you kind of want to go to? I don't know. Alright, I think that's it. That's... Oh, you know what though? These aren't done. For some reason I don't have them coming forward enough. Let's see, I have those two, and then let's bring opacity up and the hardness down, and bring it way down. I think that's all. It's going to be a bit of that. Yeah, that's probably essentially the idea. Yeah, I can kind of see that sort of thing's going all the way down to the neck, so I suppose I do need to kind of probably some of this too, though. Those places where I'm kind of definitely putting less effort into the places that you're not going to see or be looking at as much. I don't know, that does seem a little unnatural. I don't know. If you're looking up at it, does that seem normal? I don't know. Certainly having a little bit of that color coming up under it makes a little more sense than... Seems like you'll use a little texturing under the eye a bit. See a little bit of texturing in there. Bring that opacity way down. Bring the hardness up a little bit. There's a little bit more of that in there. Looks a little bit more like what I'm seeing there. I want to get down more like there. Yeah, texturing really does quite a bit. You can get the texture without too much trouble. Obviously, there needs to be some color in the ears. Maybe I'll do that one last thing and then call it a night. bring up the hardness because I'm going to just lay in the dark part of the ear. Let's go more like up to there. Yeah, that works. Nope. Wait. I think it needs to come more around there. Some of the texturing seems to be tied to the clay. What's the word? Voxels. Clay voxels, or what is the size of the voxels? I think is kind of determining where those lines appear. And I know some of this obviously is lighting. Kind of want to paint some of it in. Hardness, opacity down. It's kind of an interesting thing painting on a sculpture because you're kind of doing a bit of shading sometimes. But I like it actually. If I go slow on these lines, I don't want them to be speckled. I'm not going for texture here, I'm trying to create more of like a ribbing. So there's a grain I have to try to kind of draw with. You're trying to smooth it just though. That works good. That's pretty well. Let's just go back to here. I can't quite see the texture he's doing there. You definitely see some differences between the shape here and here, but I think it's well founded in the other reference, so I'd say this is probably a draft shape that would exist. Alright, I'm going to make sure I save because I did not save a couple nights ago, a couple streams ago, and that was a real bummer. It's funny how the shadow of the logo goes over it. Alright, well that is a wrap. So I hope you guys will stick around for the raid. It's time to raid. I'm going to... Oh, I don't have my desktop view here. I gotta resurrect that. All right, so that's not the view. I'm trying to bring up my display so you can see, you can watch along as there we go. We're gonna pick somebody to raid. If you have somebody you'd like to raid that is streaming, let me know. I'd definitely rather send you someplace that you're likely to hang out than not. Let's see, Nagasaki, Slow Burn. Oh, Kid Slam. There's Freakmeister and Leah Rose. I think Kid Slam, I'm going to go ahead and send you guys over to Kid Slams. So, just need to head to my dashboard. So before I go, we should put up the call sign. The raid command, or the raid call sign is going to be 3 of the raid Twitch raids, followed by Subcreation, Radiation, and then 3 more of those. All right, so in the chat you'll find the thing for the raid. One other thing, so usually the plan is supposed to be that on Wednesday nights we do the what do you call it? The GAN Breeding Journal, which is basically episodic flash fiction where we have a story that is developing each week a little bit. But I am a little behind this week. As I said, I had kind of a crazy day. And I didn't get that set up earlier this week. I have a big presentation I'm preparing for later this week, so I've been a little overwhelmed. I don't have it up. I'll try to get that up maybe tonight, and then we can maybe have the episode tomorrow. I think it starts to get interesting pretty soon, and yeah. So that's the call for the raid. I'm gonna bring up. Kid Slam. And before I go, I just want to say thanks for hanging out tonight. I had fun to stream, made a lot of progress. Got to see a bit of painting in VR, which was fun. I don't think I've done much of that here so far. I've done a little bit, but we did quite a bit more detail on that tonight. Anyway, I appreciate your company and hanging out, and hope you guys have a good rest of the night, and I'll see you tomorrow if you're around then. So see you later. Be a few minutes while there's a part where I hit raid and we wait while it actually counts down to raid. But yeah, so have a great night.